What's up, Knights of Degen? Welcome to the night shift. It's your boy JiggaMan Porto. I still love doing that. I've been doing it for almost 2 years now, and I love doing it every time. Guys, I'm excited. All right. I've watched this guy from the moment he stepped on the field at the combines all the way to make it into the FCS season 2.0 to some little bit of controversy after putting up some dope numbers and looking pretty sick. How you doing? Really excited to have him on the show. And I figured, with QB Stew, I learned when we sat down in the same booth in the suites at the FCF, we can sit down and just talk, right? There doesn't need to be papers and pens and a whole show layout. I'm like, hey, Stu, what are you doing? You free next week? He's like, sure. I'm like, all right. And that's it. We booked the thing. We get together and we get to hang out with all you guys and bring it. So I appreciate everybody in the chat hanging out. I see Coach Richie in there. Of course, Coach Richie going to be there. He a big QB Stew fan. I knew he'd be there. Man, Richie, it's a good thing when you're the dude about to have a baby, your wife, you on standby, and this man is here. 8 o'clock sharp, ready to go, and you 3 hours behind. Wait, Richie, you on the clock right now, bro? Like, don't you, coach kids? Like, there might be some legalities to this if you... All right, whatever. I'll cut this piece out so we don't get you in trouble, all right? What up, Sir Pizza, in the chat? Guys, let's not waste any time. Let me go ahead and bring our boy, QB Stew, Jason Stewart. What's up, homie?
What's up, my guy? How you living?
Oh, man, I'm good, bro. How are you?
No complaints on this side. It's storming out right now, so I'm just, looking out the window, enjoying that.
But so I got you at the perfect time.
Yeah, I love your energy, man. I love your energy. You're getting folks turned up right now.
Yeah, you told me the exact same thing when you and Jamil were sitting with me in the suite. You're like, yo, Jamil, your boy's crazy. I was like, all right, nice to meet you, Stu. Man, so dude, I appreciate you making time to hang out. There's a lot I want to kind of talk about, right? Not just what's happening in the season, but just everything overall, man, because I don't think people realize there's so much more to QB Stew than the FCF, right? So I want to kind of go back before the FCF a little bit and kind of talk on some things that you got going on now. But man, let's go back. Where are you originally from? Is it Atlanta? I know you're there now. Is that where you're from?
Yeah, I'm originally from Alexandria, Virginia. So that's
okay.
Like I always tell people if they've seen the movie Remember the Titans, that's my city. And I bounced around to a lot of different places. I lived there for the first 18 years of my life, but I knew I had to go to JUCO in order to try to get some type of scholarship because I didn't have any scholarships, Division 1, 2, or 3. Even I think I had a couple coaches in high school basically say my ceiling was Division 2 and that maybe I should go that route. But I figured if I go JUCO, I at least got 2 seasons potentially to try to land something bigger and help myself develop. And after my sophomore year of JUCO, my second season, I was the #1 quarterback in the nation. Went to the University of Memphis. And then I got to Memphis, and my roommate and also fellow quarterback Paxton Lynch, he ended up being a first-round draft pick. So my time in Memphis, I only really got to as far as real meaningful playing time, start to finish. The only game I got to do that was Cincinnati. I was MVP of that game. So it's like even as I look at really my last 5 games I've ever played, I'm really 4 or 5 in MVPs. As far as
that's crazy, right? Like you just show up and perform, bro. That's you showtime right then and there. That's dope, though. So you had been out of football for a while before you even got to the FCF. So I mean, what kind of happened after Memphis? What kind of pulled you away from the game?
Yeah, so after Memphis, Paxton was still my best friend, and he said, I'm going to move to Denver. We might as well continue to do what we're doing, like the positive energy and just being around me and us being good friends. We said, let's see what could happen. And so I got out there, and he had already been doing the NFL thing for like a little under a year. I want to say like 5 to 6 months. And I got out there at the end of my season because I still wanted to play and finish out at Memphis. And once I got there, I was in for like a real awakening that I skipped my pro day at Memphis. I decided to go full time into entrepreneurship. And I quickly realized that I was a bit overconfident in that area, right? This is 2017. And I told Paxton, listen, bro, I don't ever want money to come between us. Like he let me stay there for free, didn't charge me rent or anything. But it was just the concept. Like, I mean, I don't know, bro. It gets to a point where as a man, you have too much pride to
Right.
just allow another like man or woman to just, at least for myself. I know some people out there
Yeah, yeah. No,
would
no.
are cool. Yeah,
I'm with you,
they're
bro.
cool
Come
with
on. I'm a
freeloading
Puerto
and
Rican
stuff.
from New York. You think I wasn't raised that way? All right. Single mom being
Exactly.
like, you never rely on nobody. Okay, okay. So I understand that completely, bro.
Facts. Yeah, and so that's how I began my quest. I said let them know out the gates, I don't want any money. I got to figure this out for myself. I didn't have a car. I think I had right around like 3 grand to my name, and that 3K went. It was gone in like 6 7 months. Just like living with somebody who's living that lifestyle. It's like Kevin Hart would joke around and say, "How about I couldn't hang out with
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade and them boys." It's like, that's where the whole skit, the way my bank account is set up, came from.
Right.
And I found myself in that same scenario. Not just that, but I got a job at Target. I was stocking shelves at Target 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. And it got to a point where every time I would pay for something, I wasn't so much worried about the money. I was transacting the hours spent on everything that I would buy. And that was really starting to mess me up. Like if I took a Uber that was $22, I'm like, damn, that's 2 hours of my life. Like it could have been a 15-minute Uber. And I'm like, that's
Right.
2 hours of my life that I just exchanged for this 15 minutes.
Mm.
And that really started to help me shift my mindset on like, I know making money can't always just be based off me exchanging my time for it. I know there has to be other stuff out there. So that's how I started to transition. I started to Google different ways to make money online. And I came across this 18-year-old kid. He wasn't flashing money, he was flashing like plane tickets and passports. Like he was literally flashing all these different places he was
Mm.
going. And that more so had my interest than the money. Cause I
Right.
was like, anyone can like fake, oh, let me go rent a Lambo for a
Yeah,
day, and
yeah,
or like let
yeah.
me have a fake watch, or like, and so I reached out and I said, hey bro, what do you do? Like, and he told me, I trade Forex, and I immediately told him I'm good. I was like, I want nothing to do with fake Rolexes. I thought that's what Forex stood for, was fake Rolex.
It's funny because you just said, I was like, okay, we pushing Rolexes, Frolexes. Okay, so it's not. All right, we
It's
good.
not exactly.
I
So like,
pictured you opening up the jacket, bro. You're like, yo, I got a Frolex for you,
yeah,
Frolex for
exactly. The jacket, you can see all the watches. I got the like Buddy and Hercules. He's like, I got
right?
sundials. I got sundials. But
Uh,
yeah, no, I mean, it was like, I don't blame people for not knowing what it is because I didn't know what it was, but that just really exposed me to like the markets in general. So Forex is foreign exchange. It's actually the largest financial market on planet Earth. It's the only difference between the Forex market and the New York Stock Exchange is that stocks have they're more to do with Fortune 500 companies and businesses where you can openly trade whether you think a business is going to go up in value or down, whereas Forex is just currencies.
gotcha.
So every country has their own currency and there's an exchange rate between the countries. So all we're trying to do in trading is really no different than football, right? We're just basically trying to call a play, run the play, and hopefully execute the play. So in trading, it's very similar. Like I'm literally just looking for setups. If I decide to take a trade, I just do my best to execute it, and things aren't always going to go as planned. So that's just where
Makes
having a
sense.
good management and things of that. But yeah, my first 2 years, 2.5 years, I didn't make any money, and it actually caused a lot of friction between myself and a lot of the people in my life at that time because they didn't know what it was and I wasn't making money. And so even that, I thought that was very, very interesting. How sometimes God will put you in different seasons for different reasons. And that was a season that I realized like my circle was going to have to change because for the last 3 4 years, we were having so much fun being college roommates, being like kids. And like you can do that when you're in college, but like once I was out, it's like, bro, I'm not touching millions like you, bro. So I gotta grind extra. I gotta grind overtime. I gotta figure out what that thing that's gonna help me buy
Right,
my
right,
family a new house and put a pool in the backyard with a fence. Cause I watched them do that firsthand. And it's like I don't have an envious bone in my body, bro. That was proven when he started over me and we remained best friends. So
right,
it was
right.
like it was never about that. It was just always about like, bro, I just watched you do all these things for your family, and I got to figure out what avenue is going to allow me to do that. So
So if you don't mind me asking, Stu,
Hmm.
being in that situation, right? And I love that you said, no envy is born in your body, right? Because
Right.
we both know you go that route, man. Envy, jealousy, it's just you're a glutton for punishment.
Right.
In that situation, I mean, like you said, you were able to watch him, do things for his family, put all that. Did it creep in at all? Were there times that you were down on yourself, like, I need to get up and get out. Like, I need to go do something different because I'm seeing it all be done. I'm not getting it. So, not saying you were fully envious, but did
Right.
those doubts creep in your mind during that time?
Well, the thing that was interesting was because we had like where he was making his money, I knew how he was making his money. It wasn't a matter of he knew something I didn't know. Like,
Right,
and
right,
he himself even knew. And that's what I'm saying. I'm such a humble guy. I'm so chill. Like, if people didn't even know I play football, you wouldn't assume I play. Like, it's just that's the type of guy I am. I'm not out here cocky, like I'm not doing any of that. But I had to remind myself I was still the number one quarterback in the nation. Like, it's not like there weren't practices where I was outperforming him, or even maybe a week or a period of time
right,
where
right.
I'm still out there, and like everyone out there knows that too. That's what was cool. That's why I was happy to once I had my chance of playing against Cincinnati and like playing the whole game. It was finally that moment, like bet, like all these practices where I've been having to cook our own defense, like I finally got like I'm gonna show y'all. And so when I got out there to Denver, it wasn't so much jealousy because I knew that he was just a better player than me. I knew that it was
Right,
more so, at least as far as draft stock and things of that are concerned,
right.
uh, that the league looked at him as something worth paying $9 million for. So I just knew like whatever path I was gonna go down, it was gonna take time. I literally compared it back to JUCO. It's like I showed up to Dodge City, Kansas, the middle of nowhere as a freshman, and had no scholarships, no clout, no rankings, and then end up starting for that team, and we go undefeated backwards. We don't win a game, and towards the last half of the season, I end up playing receiver like the last 3 or 4 games of the season because we were down on our roster. Like our receivers were hurt, and our backup quarterback was a better option at quarterback, and so I could play receiver, and we at least have the guys. So it just goes
Yeah,
to
yeah.
show, like, you go through all of that and you go through losses for an entire year. And I was even getting offered by schools as a receiver, not even as a quarterback, just because they liked the 3, 4 games I had like 3, 4 touchdowns in those games. Like, it's just the concept. Like, I don't have to line up and run a 4.6 40. I'm just a ball player. Like, it's the same thing when we draw
Right.
X's and O's in the dirt as kids. Like, that's what I grew up on. So the FCF was very similar to that kind of concept where like I could just tell James Harden in the huddle, like, "Hey, bro, just run a post corner." Like,
Right. especially Harden, boy. You just he gonna get open. He gonna take off.
definitely.
All right. So then you started looking at the Frolex stuff.
Hmm.
You said about 2 years into that, right?
Yeah,
Not making
yeah,
any money. Where you at mentally at this point? Like, what's the next step, bro?
yeah. It was tough because, like, as I'm doing this and I'm hosting events and trying to tell other people about like why they should at least like take a look and learn, and like I'm trying to trade up my own accounts, and every time I would have like 500 to 1,000 saved up, I'd put it in an account and I'd blow it in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'd grow it, I'd take it from 1,000 to 1,500, 2,000, and then I'd blow it. And of course, this was
Mm.
very discouraging. There were times, many times I felt like giving up. And at this point, I don't have results. And now Paxton and I basically had a man-to-man conversation where, it was still so early in the niche that he was basically telling me like, bro, what you're doing, it seems shady. It's like I still don't get it. And at this point, I would just more so you work a job. And he's like, what's wrong with working at Target? And I told him, bro, when have you ever heard me say one day I want to own Target, or I want to work at Target, or I like
Right.
that was the biggest thing for me. And what's crazy is when I was at Memphis, I had already been doing things as an entrepreneur. I was designing these dry fit shirts for players all over the NCAA and NFL, and it had basically had like the word "blessed" on the side of the dry fit, so we would roll our jerseys up and it would have Bless hanging out. And so I was doing shirts for Laquan Treadwell. I mean, I had half the Ole Miss team, half Memphis team, and it was we were on ABC Saturday morning game, and it was trending by halftime. Bless shirts. So that Monday, I get a call from Nike, Willie Gregory, executive director. There's a headquarters of Nike in Memphis because you got hella product. you got to have hella distribution. So they got FedEx right there
Right.
next to them, all in Memphis. So I just remember pulling up to Nike and having that conversation with him. It was about a half an hour to an hour. I learned a lot, but the biggest thing, at that time, they didn't allow players to make money off their own likeness or brand. So they
Right.
basically told me I had to shut it down. I also asked, can I partner with you guys? Is there something that I can do with Nike? And they said it was a conflict of interest because it had to do with religion and beliefs. And then fast forward like 2, 3 years later, they dropped the Nike hijabs for Muslim headwear.
Yeah.
So it's the concept of like seasons, man. Seasons.
Hmm.
One season of life, college players can't get paid. Now college players can get paid. So that's even something that I'm excited to potentially Destroying and I are going to be potentially partnering up on those shirts. I've done shirts for Larry Fitzgerald, Odell Beckham, Von Miller, Tyrod Taylor.
That's the Journey ones. Is that what it is that I've
Yep,
seen those?
yep,
Yeah,
the
those are
Journey shirts.
fire.
So yeah, and
Now,
then
you know what? Since you brought that up, I
yeah,
mean, not to get off of the story we're talking about, but
yeah,
I looked into all of that stuff, man, when I saw one of your interviews with the Rick T Boys.
right,
And man, seeing what you're doing with the Life Water Life
yeah,
Foundation, is that right?
yep, Lightwater Life
Light
Foundation.
Water. Like, are you still doing all that with the
Yeah, and
shirts
so
and everything? Like, that's so
yep,
dope.
and that's what that's what I so after Destroying dropped this video on YouTube, uh, he sent me his number and we got on the phone for like I don't know 30 minutes. I showed him everything and he basically just wanted me to send over a full like deck card of everything that I
Right.
basically explained to him because the margins, everything, the design. So I'm just more so excited because I know the influence that he has that we can get those shirts out to more people. And at the end of the day, all I care about is like a minimum of $5 to $10 on every shirt go to that foundation. Because like that's the biggest thing for me is outside of just making money, outside of entertaining, outside of followers and everything else. It's just like I just want to make a difference. Like I genuinely, my top affirmation that I say to myself every day is I am God's steward artist. My last name's Stewart, so I broke my name down into the two things that I feel like represent me. And I know if we sell 1 million shirts at $10 profit margin given away, that's $10 million to the kingdom. So it's like
Huge.
there's still plenty of margin left over for he to make money and myself make money, but that's not really the goal. That when I started making those shirts in college, it says G2 God on the front, glory to God.
Right.
So it
Real
wasn't. Mhm.
because I read a lot of this. What's the website again? We got people in the chat. They want to look it up while we're talking.
Yeah, it's g2god.com.
G2God.com, guys. For those
Yeah.
asking, check it out. The shirts look dope. All right. So keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And it's like for the most part right now, like I'm not pushing the website too much because I know ultimately if we partner, then it's gonna go
Right.
a different direction. Who knows if it'll keep the name? But that's where once again I remember reading in a book one time, it's better to have 10% of something than 100% of nothing. And it's like I know just pushing it myself and doing it that way, I can get a lot done. But I believe there's strength in numbers. Also, getting connected with people like Destroying, Bob Menery, Johnny Manziel, yourself,
Mm-hmm.
Marshawn Lynch. Like, this is half the reason why I even joined the league in the first place was for the networking component of it. And I feel like I squeezed the lemon beautifully.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh,
You know,
you did, and we got a lot to talk about with that. That's for sure. So, but
yeah.
I'm still curious though. So, did you eventually end up hitting on what you were doing with the trading? Because I mean, I see your videos, I see your
Yeah.
tips and stuff. I'm locked in on those. So,
Yeah,
tell
so
me
it's
more
like
about that.
when I moved to Denver, I was doing the clothing line full time. And that's when the whole reason I got a job at Target was because I found myself having to take money out of the clothing line. And I didn't I didn't like that. I wanted to keep them separate. I wanted that money to go back into the business or towards the kingdom. So that's why I was like, I got to get a job. And then that's what led me to that. So at that point, once I got into trading, I put everything on the back burner. I was solely focused on just that. Like, wasn't
Right.
paying out on anything. I'll do a couple spare jobs here or there, like some cover art or some flyers, some graphic design. That was a skill set I taught myself when I was at Memphis. I'll go to the library late at night. I would be in there. They had these computers that had the dual monitors, and I would have one screen YouTube tutorials and then the other screen, Photoshop. Because I couldn't even pay for the Photoshop. So I was in there late night every day,
Right.
basically. And then yeah, we would still have workouts and stuff, but that was like kind of therapy for me. Was I just really enjoyed the artistry of it because I can't really draw like that. I can't paint, so Photoshop allowed me to like have the art, like take things that I had in my mind and put them on canvas. And so that's kind of how the shirts and stuff got started as well. I knew to do designs for the shirts, I had to learn that. And so that's
Right.
another thing too that I want people to understand is like be proactive. Like I didn't wait for someone to say, I didn't go try to look for someone who could do it. Like I don't know. I just said to myself, if I learn the skill set myself, then even if I decide to outsource this or delegate this later on, at least I'll have an idea of what to look for
Yeah,
or
it gives you an
you know,
understanding of knowing every level of what you're doing, and that's
right.
smart, man. I mean, it's clear, Stu. I mean, you obviously got that entrepreneur spirit forever, right? And it shows in everything that you're doing. So the shirts take off. You start hitting with the what is it again? Not stocks, but
Forex.
forex. I
Yeah.
keep thinking of Rolex
You're
now.
good. Yeah, yeah. Just think of that. Just think of that. That's a fake Rolex Forex. But yeah, I mean, it got to that point though that the great decision or the great barrier was like I said, when Paxton basically said like, you basically have until April 1st until you got to move out, and my birthday is on April 8th. So it was like just I had to ask myself, am I willing to throw away like dreams in 2 years, or not even 2 years? I would say at that point maybe I had been about a little over a year that I was doing it, but
Okay.
I just had spent so much time and spent so much focus and energy on learning the craft. And I would always ask myself every time I felt like I hit rock bottom, if not this, then what? Like, if I don't figure out a way to make this work, then what else do I plan on doing? And rarely could I ever come to a conclusion because before the trading, I actually was looking at wholesaling for real estate. But because I didn't have a car, that was basically what took that off my list for
Right.
that time. So, yeah, I mean, there was a period in between me moving back to the East Coast where I didn't have a place to stay. I'm sleeping in bathrooms, I'm sleeping on yoga mats, inside 24-hour fitnesses, and it's just once again like perspective. Perspective is everything. Like if you know what it's like to sleep on floors, then I don't know. You just find so much gratitude and like it's so funny, man. Anytime I can't,
It's
I
true.
struggle to fall asleep. All I have to do is think about being back inside of a
On that
bathroom on a
floor.
yoga mat, and it's like then all of a sudden I have no issue falling asleep because I'm like I'm not on that floor in that bathroom on
Mm.
that yoga mat with no idea of where my next meal is gonna come or anything. So I
Yo,
moved to Erie.
we literally could stop the interview right here, bro, and just snip that piece right there for days. That's just well said, man. All right, go ahead. My bad.
I had read in a book, and the biggest thing too is like as I was going through this whole period and process, I was experiencing all this identity crisis because football was stripped away from me. So the one thing that gave me all my value, the one thing that I had my identity in, no longer existed. And so I lost my self-worth, I lost my confidence, I lost my self-value, and these things affected all areas of my life, not just
Right.
financially, but then now I can't even take my girl out to dinner or even feel like she deserves to be with me at that time. So a lot of things changed. My girlfriend of 6 years had broke up with me, my best friend kicked me out the house, and got uh my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, all within about a 1 month, 2 month period. So like I said, rock bottom. But the thing about rock bottom is the only way to go is up. Like it's literally when you're there and you're saying to yourself, there's not much lower I can go. So I moved back to Erie, Pennsylvania. I say back, but I never lived there. My
All
dad, he's born and
right.
raised in that area. So
All
I
right.
moved to Erie, Pennsylvania to work with my dad as a carpenter. And this is something I like to tell people is sometimes there's seasons of life that have nothing to do with finance that you can still be extremely rich in. So I
Mhm.
worked with my dad as a carpenter for around a year and a half. And although I wasn't rich in money, I was rich in time and experience. Just getting to be with my pops, my best friend. There's probably 1 to 5 people in this world that I can truly say like this person would die for me, or just care so much about me that they'll do anything. And so for me to get to spend a year and a half with him when so much of my time in college was just spent on football, football, football. And so I was teaching him how to trade, and he was teaching me how to continue to learn different skill sets in carpentry. And that's what I thought was so cool. Jesus said, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but you teach a man a fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. And I thought it was so powerful that I was working with my father,
Yeah.
right?
As a carpenter.
As a
Come on,
carpenter,
son. Come
right?
on.
And the property that we were working on, it had flood damage. So we literally had to gut it from the inside,
Mm.
strip everything. It still kept the foundation. So the house was still standing, but everything on the inside had flood damage. So it needed to be gutted and then filled up properly and be renewed. And so
It's crazy because during that time and you're doing this, it's literally like you're living out your metaphor of
yes.
what you're going through life, right? That whole frame, you're trying to build it up. Ooh, go ahead, keep going, Stu. Tell
No,
me
I
more.
mean that it's so cool, the symbolism, and that's why I tell people time stands for things I must experience. So as I'm going through that, I just kept reminding myself, like, for whatever reason, God has a plan, like this is something I'm supposed to experience. And now I understand He put me there to cut out the noise, like
Mm.
I needed to be in a place where I still didn't have a car, where I didn't know anybody, I didn't have any friends, and it was snowing 3/4 of the year. So I was like, if I wasn't at work with my dad or out doing something with him, then I was in my room either learning the skill set of trading or playing the game or, doing something of that nature. So it was just a blessing, man. Like, like I said, at this point now, and not because I choose, but like at this point now, maybe I see my pops 2, 3 times a year. That's just like, that's the normality of life now. It's just
Yeah,
like,
facts.
I mean, I could fly home to see him every other weekend, but I tell people all the time, a shark can't outgrow its tank. And so the very reason that I ultimately decided to leave Erie after a year and a half, 2 years, as much as I loved being there and I loved living at home with my dad and spending that time, I realized in order for me to grow, I had to get out of a tank that
Mm-hmm.
was conducive for growth, right? It was conducive for comfort. I
Yeah.
was comfortable there, right? They're making me dinner. I got a place to stay. We know the lights are on. I'm making money as a carpenter.
Mm.
But as far as my goals and my affirmations and the things that I knew God had planned for me, I had to get out of that shark tank and
But
go find that.
it sounds like, you're going through all those trials and tribulations. You're going through everything at that time. But it sounds like it really was that reset that you needed physically and mentally, right? Am I wrong in saying that? I mean, it sounds
Uh,
like that was kind of like that QB stew
mhm.
refresh. All
Man,
right. So
yeah,
what happens when
it
you
was like a
leave there,
rebirth.
dude?
Honestly, like
There you go.
even it was a rebirth. Just because, like I said, I started to build myself up back on things that had nothing to do with football. At this point, I was starting to take more pride in just like I was helping people. I was teaching people for free. I was continuing to be a vessel and a resource. And I heard a quote one time that said, "You don't know something unless you can teach it." So that's what started me to want to get on Zooms and start. If I learned a couple things that week, cool. Let me go teach some people for free. And then you get to a point where, after a certain amount of results, then now my one-on-ones are $2,000. So it's the concept of seasons of life. Like I had to get to that phase, but I moved to Atlanta, Georgia. My best friend Dante Lewis, he's from Philly originally. I met him in Vegas in 2018 at a convention. We were both in similar spots, but once again, vision. We saw each other for where we were going. Sight is a function of the eyes, and vision is a function of the heart. So I always tell people, like, whenever you're talking with friends or family, don't look at them for their current situation. Look at them more for their eventual destination, and
Mm.
that will allow you to see much further than what they currently have going on. And that individual has had multiple six-figure days now. He's like making 25 to 50 thousand dollars a month, and I met him when he was stuffing hard-boiled eggs like
Mm.
from the motel that he was staying in just to have
That's
food for
crazy.
the week. So it's powerful, man. We're both firm in our faith. We both talk about having vision and being able to see much further beyond right now. And even for crypto holders, short side note, same thing, like zoom out, scale out.
Right.
If people look at these cycles that occur, not just in crypto, but in anything, everything can't go up forever. It's no different than a roller coaster. Like you have to get higher highs and higher lows in the market. And the only time you're actually losing is when you're liquidating what you put in. So keep that in mind. Like if you're holding drawdown, that's what it's called, right? Let's say you get in at
Mm-hmm.
$1,000 a coin, the coin goes down to 500, you're in 50% drawdown. So it's still up to you to decide, was that really risk capital that I put in the first place? Am I
Right.
cool with holding this? And
Till it comes
even
back.
right,
Mm-hmm.
my crypto, bro, I view it as my buried treasure. It's like I put in
Right.
what I can afford to lose, but at the same time, I truly believe. I don't want to say no. I don't like the term no, but I truly believe in the next 3 to 5 years that based off what I put in the last year or two, that it'll be up in 3 to 5. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I
I
could,
even saw you post about it the other day, right? I mean, I saw it was like just last week. I think it was you put that article out, and you were like,
right,
"Yeah, still
yeah,
buying crypto." Like, you got to
yeah. I mean,
expect the winter. Like you said, if you're putting in what you know you can afford to lose,
mhm,
that's the whole point of it, right? It's new to everybody. So,
exactly,
are you really down 50%? Nah. I mean, during the time of you waiting, anyways. All right. So right now it looks like you lost something, but
right,
if you weren't scared to lose it, that's the whole
right.
point.
And a lot, it's like no different than football. It's not the play is not officially over until the whistle has blown. So in trading or in crypto or in real estate or in any other buy and hold
Mm-hmm.
operation, it's not over until the whistle has blown. It's no different than you're about to sell a house for, an extra 40, 50,000 off what you bought. The whistle's not blown until that buyer
Till they
has
sign and
signed and sent
close.
and closed and sent the bread.
When
Like,
that bank sends the money over
yeah,
until
until
then.
then, the play is still in motion. So it's like that's how I feel with all of this. Is like I'm not sitting here crying, but like for example, in January, I put in another 30,000 in right before actually it was at the end of December because once again, tax time. Like, well, I don't want to pay 30,000 on capital gains tax on this withdrawal. So instead of me pulling it out and putting it into my bank account, I'm gonna just put it into coins and see it in 3 to 5 years. And
Yeah.
it's that whole concept of like, as long as people understand this game, it never ends. Like it's not just about much what you make, it's about what you can keep. Right. And it's about doing it the right way. Cause you still, you don't want to get caught up with old Uncle Sam. That's the last thing you want to do. But there's
Right.
still ways that you can play the game that allow you to, write a lot of things off or
Yeah. Stay above water. Tread the line the
exactly.
right way. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, it's just been a blessing. I moved to Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta with $500 in an air mattress. And shout out to my pops for continuing to pay me out on our carpenter job because we weren't even getting paid.
Mm.
So he was like, "I'm gonna get the money from them on the back end, but I want to make sure you're getting paid." And so it's like, that's what I'm saying, man. It's just like, even for me to go to JUCO, he was on his hands and knees tiling floors with me, so we could pay for me to. And it's just like things like that, man. It's just there's no, I have no words. So it's like
Yeah.
when people
It
ask,
sounds like your dad's a rock, bro.
yeah, I mean, it's just when I talk about hitting the lottery, it's like with my parents, like just I'm not saying they had all the answers. I'm not saying I did everything right, but it's just the concept like when people just genuinely love you that much. And all the places I've been in two different cities in Kansas. I've been in Memphis, I've been in Denver, I've been in Atlanta, Erie, DC. The beauty of that is I have gotten to experience. So my perspective lenses of people who don't have parents that are supportive, of people who don't have parents that are loving, who don't have parents who are communicative. Like I seen firsthand, so it's like I know how like just blessed I am to have that. And yeah, that's why I shout them out any chance I can because like they're my why. My parents are my why.
All right. So, you know what? We're gonna do this real quick. All
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Take this moment, look into that camera, and go ahead and give your parents a little love and shout out. Go ahead. I'm gonna mute the mic.
Most definitely. First and foremost, I want to shout out my why, my dad, Bill Stewart, and my mom, Mary Stewart. Once again, it's not every day you get that level of love and support. And no matter what it's been, whether it's been me going to JUCO or me getting into trading, they've continued to support me and love me, even when it didn't always make sense. The nice part is, it turned out well, and so That's the good thing. But yeah, I'm so grateful, so grateful. But yeah, I went to Atlanta, $500 air mattress, and here's once
Mm.
again, look how God works. The NCAA owed me a check from the video game. They owed me like 5, 6K from the video game, being in the video
Okay.
game, and they were supposed to pay it out in 2017. It was like the Ed O'Bannon trial or something. I can't remember, but they were supposed to pay it out in 2017. We never got it. 2018, never
Mm.
got it. 2019, they finally closed everything and sent the checks out. So I got like, I want to say it was like 5.9 thousand that they sent
Okay.
me, and that was like the seed money to a new life. Like I put 1.5 thousand in a trading account, and instead of taking it to 2K and blowing it, this time I took it to like 17,000. I took 9,000 out and was like rinsing and repeating on like $2,000 to $3,000 accounts. And then I
That's that
remember,
favor right there, man. You stayed faithful, you stayed true, and that favor showed up. I mean, not expecting that thing to show up at your door, and then here comes the full turn. That's dope.
yeah, and like
I love
so,
that you went from I only used to go wait till about 500, pull it out. Now,
yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna wait till about 17K. All right. Yeah, Stu.
It's once again the reps. Like I had to get the reps in. I had to, even when I wasn't trading a live account, which is real money, I was still trading a demo account, which is practice money, just so I could get the reps. And
Mm,
like that way, when it was live, it wasn't like, oh, this is the first time I'm doing this. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
right.
So I was just preparing. I was working in the dark. I was crafting in the dark, and then I knew eventually what I practiced in the dark would come to the light. And 2020 of March, like we're hitting COVID, and this is one of the worst years for worst times for a lot of people. And
Mhm.
just because of my skill set, ended up being one of my best years. Like 2020 was my most lucrative year that I've ever had. Like it's the most I've ever profited. In March of 2020, I took a 4K account to 64K,
Mm.
and then in September of 2020, I had a six-figure day. I had $103,000 in a day, and I FaceTime my mom, FaceTime my dad. I got snot coming out of my nose, like, and like people ask me, "How'd you celebrate, Stu? Like, you hit the club, you pop bottles?" And it's like, "Nah, I didn't do any of that. Actually, like, that was the celebration. Like, me getting to call them and let them know, all this work and all this like
All this time
effort.
and effort.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
like it hasn't been for nothing. And not only that, this is the start because it's like I've only been trading since June 26, 2017. We're in 2022. That's 5 years. So it's like,
Right.
what does the next 5 years look for somebody like me? Like that's where I get excited because trading helped me come back to the game of football. Like when I went from that and now I'm like a well-known, I've spoke at the FX Summit. I plan on speaking at like Florida State and Oregon and just doing
So I
different.
wanted to ask you about that because I've seen a lot of different stuff that you've gone and speak at, and
Mhm.
man, Stu, like for people that don't know you or have had the chance to talk to you and watching this now,
Yeah,
they're starting
yeah.
to see, you know, that side of you. So I pulled this up and I want to share it real quick.
Hand real quick, if you got on a plane or drove an hour plus to be here. Nah, clap it up for yourself, for real. For real. Nah, for real. Y'all seen movie 300? You remember when he said, what is your profession? FX Summit, what is your profession? That's good, but see, here's the thing. When you go to war, most of the time the people who win are the ones who got more to fight for. And right now, all you guys are fighting for is your freedom. You don't want my tattoos, you don't want the car I drive, you don't want the apartment I live in Atlanta, you want my freedom. My idol is Harriet Tubman, because she got free and then went back. It wasn't enough to be free. I'm here to serve right now. When I said, what is your profession? People have asked. So you telling me you came hours and hours and hours to be here. You showed up to the war and had no fight. Every single day, you remind yourself, why are you fighting?
So is that like how, I mean, dude, I mean, it just feels like you're dropping so much knowledge at this stuff. And the reason I want to bring that up is you said it early on in this conversation. Like you've always had a vision of reaching people, sharing your experiences with everybody. So how often are you doing things like that with these speaker events and engagements? How'd you get into all that?
Yeah, I did. It's funny. I didn't start like that. Like I haven't always been this. I mean, I've been motivational and a passionate guy, but it's not like this is something that I was always super excited to do. I remember the first Zoom call I ever did. It was actually through because I was getting on to teach people about trading, and I
Okay.
was I was terrified. Like I was extremely nervous. I was like, once again, I'm questioning, am I good enough? Will I find the right words? What happens if I stutter? And it was all these what ifs, and it's just like jumping out of a plane, like all these what ifs until you jump, and then there you are flying through the sky, and you realize like once the parachute pulls, like this is bliss. Like I feel more alive now than had I
Hmm.
never jumped. And I love shouting out Harry Tubman because that really is like one of the most gangster things of all time. Like
Right.
to literally like go through one of the hardest escapes known to man and then say, you know what, like this is not good enough. I got to go back and get more. And when I was homeless, when I was broke, when I was struggling, all I listened to was personal development. I was listening to Dr. Miles Monroe, Dr. Earl Nightingale. I was listening to Zig Ziglar, Jim Rome, Les Brown, you name it, whether it's and I love the Eric Thomases, like I love the motivational speakers, but the biggest thing with that is I was already motivated. Like I don't lack motivation most of the time. It's just more so we need actual tangible things that we can then go apply. And so whenever it comes to speaking, I know people for the most part, once again, another quote I heard, people don't remember what you say, they remember how you made them feel. And all I care about, my goal is just to make people feel something. Otherwise, I feel like I failed. At that point, it's like if I didn't make you feel something, during my time at a speaking engagement or when it's my opportunity to have a connection with you, then I
Hmm.
failed. I don't need you to be able to go home and oh, Stu said this and Stu said this, but I do want people to go home and say, "Damn, that QB Stu, like that man." And that's the most fulfilling payment I get is when people come up to me with tears in their eyes, not just from
Mm.
that speech, but from content that I've made or from stuff that I post of just letting me know, hey Stu, I've been following you for 2 years and my mom is also battling cancer and I've also been struggling in trading and I've also lost a lot of friends. But I come to your videos and I watch your videos every single day just to fuel back up and have a little bit more like that's the stuff that I'm just
Yeah.
like, I
Oh,
can't
and I can
stop.
imagine. I mean, since you came into the combine in Atlanta, right? I've been following you since that day. Bro, my wife and I joke about it when she was like, "Oh, you got QB Stew coming on tonight." She's like, "Honey, I've got way too much film on QB Stew in my phone still because we had every phone. I mean, you were throwing dimes that day, and but since that day, there's never a week where on your Instagram feed, especially Instagram, because you rock it out on Instagram like crazy. But just the things you share on there and the videos and the comments, man, it's just whole next level, right? And that's why the minute I saw somebody say, "Oh, what's his handles?" Go find it. You need someone that's going to uplift you just by reading something they put out. That's the account to follow. So how the heck this entire time you got all this, you're bouncing all over. How do we end up at an Atlanta combine for the
Yeah.
FCF?
Yeah, so even that, once again, like, and I know you can't see all my walls and stuff, but I have pictures covering my wall. It's not just like things that I desire or want, but it's just like greatness. Like I got, Kobe and Jordan. I got an Aventador and a property in California. I got the Roll One cover of like some of my favorite different people, celebrities that have influenced me. I got my affirmations up here. So it's like, and then even up here, I had for the last 2 years, I've had my handle with a blue check up there on the wall, something for me to see because you only have your ear
Mm-hmm.
gates and your eye gates. And so that's why it's like I'm the only player in the FCF that from this season ended up verified. Like
Yeah.
it's not like the FCF helped me do that. Once again, I'm not saying I helped me do that. It's just once again the concept of manifestation. Like it's not like this has just all of a sudden landed in my lap. So in regards to the FCF, I've been sitting here in Atlanta for 2-3 years, and I watched season one and was saying to myself, I feel like because a lot of those like Quentin Flowers, I played in the same conference as him. So I'm thinking like
Right.
I know Quentin's a dog. He is a dog. I want to definitely
Uh-huh.
give him his flowers.
Yeah.
But that's funny. But I just thought to myself, I could go play in that league. And not only that, I remember when people were running up to the fan cam, I was like, imagine if somebody went to the fan cam and just sparked the joint. And that was originally the whole concept. So I actually joined the league just to do what I did. As crazy as that sounds, that's how planned out it was. That's how methodical it all was. Now, I didn't know how it was going to play out. I didn't know what the game was
Mm.
going to be. I didn't know if I was even going to be a starter. These were all things I didn't know. But I said to myself, okay, cool. I'll show up to a tryout. I'll do my thing. I'll have fun. I got there. I quickly realized I was still just as talented as anybody there. And just me playing all, I mean, it's not like I had thrown much. You know, there was a guy who came to the tryout as well as a receiver. I had been
Mhm.
throwing to him maybe once a week or once every other week. But outside of that, I was just hooping at LA Fitness, giving folks buckets. And I just decided, let me show up to this tryout in Atlanta. I was actually 15, 20 minutes late because I was hotboxing the whip on the
I
way there.
remember. I remember.
Yeah, and so yeah, I got there and I had to wear number 24. Shout out to Kobe once again. That's why I'm like, there's
Come on.
reasons things happen. You know, like I had my ski mask on, I got the 24 on, and so yeah, it was it was a vibe. And like the commissioner, he asked me he told me that I'll be coming to training camp, and then training camp, it was just like the first week or two was just getting some of the cobwebs off the shoulder and elbow, but outside of that, after the second week, like I was rolling, I realized quickly too, once again, like I I I I sold myself short so often with things. Like one of my biggest
Mm.
regrets in life was not going to my pro day. Because I acknowledge that even if I didn't play in the NFL, to at least put an NFL helmet on and like be there for a practice or two. Just that concept, that's what I'm upset about because now I really never will know. It's not even
Right.
even if I still stayed in the FCF and didn't do all that, the chances of me going to the league at this point, it's they're not too high. Nor, and I know this sounds crazy, nor do I really even want to go commit to something like that because it's like financially I'm already,
Right. Right.
I see my ceiling as something that I could continue to get those type of numbers without even having to put my body at risk or learn a full playbook. And quite honestly, I would just be a practice squad guy or third string guy anyway. So not something I would really want to commit to, but
Do you think, Stu, that the fact that you came into it knowing you were coming to have a good time,
yeah,
right? It
yeah,
wasn't where, let's be real, you got about 98% of the guys that are there like, hey, I want to get film. I'm trying to
right,
get it to the league,
exactly,
next level. There are
yeah.
any league that's available. So did that kind of help you with your mentality? Because I mean, dude, look, and I'll say it because I know my wife will kill me if I don't.
Mhm.
She was the first one. Me and the guys are all recording, grabbing footage everywhere. And she was like, I'm telling you, grab some footage of QB Stew. This guy right here.
Right,
I was
right,
like,
right.
okay. And we did, right? Do you think that helped you with that mentality of you knew you were coming? The idea was I'm going to blaze something up at some point. I'm going to have a good time. And if I make this thing, I'm just going to let it rip.
Yeah, it was definitely a combination of all those things, but at the same time too, I still took it serious enough that like I knew the only way that that would work is if I performed at a high level.
Right.
And the way I am with anything is like if I'm putting my last name on it or I'm putting my brand on it, which is what I literally did,
Right.
like I chose to have at QB Stew as my name on the back. And even that, like once again, just is smart plays, like strategic, playing chess, not
Mm-hmm.
checkers. Where it's like after the first game, Johnny Manziel followed me along with 200 other people that just happened to be watching the game that liked how I played and said, hey, I want to go check out this at QB Stew.
Right.
So it's just like teams are walking billboards. So I didn't see why not maximize that part. But yeah, I mean, it was a blend of everything. I had to put a lot of other things on pause just because I told them, "Hey, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna be
Right.
half in, half out." Because, like you said, 98% of the league is all the way in. That's all they got. So it's
Right.
like all the other quarterbacks are studying the playbook and watching the film, and it's like if I don't commit to that level, because I've never been so talented that I could just show up not doing anything. It's like the thing that gives me that
Work.
confidence where I'm running around saying I'm him and bowing and all that extra entertainment, what comes for that was the preparation. Like I treated every practice rep as if, okay, when I get this snap, like I'm taking this drop full speed and I'm like everything, every 7-on-7 rep. I love the reps. And so even what was cool about me going to the Zappers, I finally was on a team where I could get all the practice reps, all of them. Like Kelly Bryant was hurt with a foot and Johnny Manziel, he doesn't come to practice. So
yeah, I think these Knights of Degens have something to do with this three-way trade. I mean, some of them had to do with Stu moving around and everybody. So, yeah, I think it worked out really well. Did you expect it to be? I mean, because that was week what?
that was
5?
yeah, it was week 4 or 5, I think.
Right? Is when you finally.
5. Yeah, so the
Okay.
first 2 weeks I was on the beast. Week 1, it was straight, like had 3 touchdowns, MVP. Week 2, played against the Stars. I had a pick on the second drive. The first drive, I remember I had a block that held Quentin Porter out. It was like I had a backside block. Quentin Porter reverse field gets in there. We're scoring tit for tat. And then that second drive, I threw a pick, and then the third drive, our running back threw a pick. We tried to
Yeah, I remember that.
we tried to copy them and do the running back pass.
Yeah.
And even that was like that wasn't my idea or anything. It was our beast coach at the time, So it's like, and then the third turnover was Alfonso. They switched him in, and he had a fumble after a run. So it was like we had 3 turnovers, only one which was from me, but because the Stars kept scoring, and it was just like, all right, then the beast basically chalked me like I was, and so a lot of these things too I learned as well, once again, because there was such a fluctuation of how I valued myself based on what I would get so frustrated. Like all these people, 1 minute they're showing me love. QB Stew, we love you. You beat the Glacier Boys. Next minute, QB Stew sucks. He can't even complete a pass. Da 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 da. So then I don't even get drafted by the Beast, and I end up on the Kingpins as a backup. And for 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Actually, I think I ended up on the Beast as a backup, and then that's what it was. Week 3, I'm on the Beast as a backup. I don't even play until like the last drive of the game. We go down, score in like 3 plays. So it's like, then I'm on the Kingpins, don't play for 2 games straight, and then I end up finally on the Zappers, and then we win those 2 games, and then the infamous smoking the Glacier. Actually, we won the 3 games.
You won 3 games. I'll say you were a part. You and Kelly were a part of turning that whole thing around to even get them on that winning streak. So I guess we're here at this point. So we gotta pull it up, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at the moment.
Oh yeah. Smoking that Glacier pack.
That Glacier pack.
That Glacier pack. You had me die when I saw it.
That's that Glacier pack. Stay zap, my friends. Stay zap. That's crazy shit.
But then I love what you say afterwards.
Hey, plants over pills. I did it for a reason. It's about time. Hey, if an athlete goes and drinks the beer, it's okay. But heaven forbid we hit the gas. Come on, let's think about it. Shout out to VA.
So you had your moment, bro. You knew you were coming in to do it.
Yep.
What was the biggest reasoning behind it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, people can. It's once again, like as long as you know what you're doing for why you're doing it, then that's all that matters. And like I understood going into it, there was a wide variety of things that could happen to me. I knew I could potentially get arrested. I knew I could have got kicked out right then and there after that play. So it's like, once again, just me listening to my intuition. I could have done it the first game that I was Zappers QB. So like there was plenty of opportune times that I could have done it that I just chose not to, because once again, I wanted to show that I could actually play before I pulled a stunt like this.
Yeah,
so
it makes sense. Not just some guy who lit up a J. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And not just that, I feel like the most powerful thing of what I did in that game was the timing in which I did it. Like that was the 3rd play of the game.
Yeah.
The 3rd play of the game, and I take 3 mean rips. Destroying took 1 hit.
I know he was
hurt. So I'm like, imagine I took 3 hefty rips and then proceeded to just cook them for the rest of the
You
game.
really
Like,
did.
and I'm saying that humbly, but it's like you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like that's what's cool about, and once again, I always tell destroying this, and like people know this about me. Like, the more the pressure, the more like I try my absolute, like it's not even I try, like I naturally thrive. It excites me. I'm like, this is what we're here for. So when I saw that Zappers were playing Glacier Boys, Destroying's coming back, I was like, bet. I was more nervous about like just getting that out the way than the game itself. So once I did that and handed it to him, it was a relief. Like, bet, I did what I wanted to. It's on film. Now I just have to finish the game, like cooking them. Like, I got to really solidify, because I knew if I start throwing interceptions, then they're gonna say,
It's
"Oh, he's just
because
high."
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to prove the point that we can, as athletes, we can smoke marijuana and still go out and be great human beings, and still go out and love Christ, and still go out and play the game that they love. And like, there's just such a barrier. And that's why I said to myself,
Mm.
like, my idol and the person who I follow and aspire to be like, outside of Harriet Tubman, is Jesus, and whether we call him Yeshua, Yahweh, like, I understand that's not his real name. His real name is Muslim, but like the concept of, or Hebrew, I should say, the concept of him being a sacrifice. I'm like, bet. Bet. I'll be a sacrifice for a message that's bigger than myself. Because I know at this point I'm not going to be the greatest football player to ever play. But why do I have AI tatted on me? Because he did it his way. He's not the best basketball player, but
Right.
but he damn sure left his mark on the game. So I'm like, bet. I came to this league. 3 out of the 4 games I was MVP, and I hit the gas and just happened to, proceed to put on a show the rest of the night. And the league didn't even kick me out until that Tuesday. I was so nonchalant and strategic and calculated about how we did it that no one even saw it. Like, it wasn't even
So
a big deal.
I have a couple of takes on this. All right. So number one, in true FCF fan fashion, they spent more time worried about where the J was kept than the fact
Right.
that you actually lit the J. Okay,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
that's already been debunked. We all know you had it in a case. All right, Destroying's not going to just rip a J off someone's underwear J, so we didn't worry about that. But you got injured that game too, didn't you? You hurt your foot.
And I posted some videos and stuff just to set the record straight. Like, the joint was in a case, like, because
Yeah,
once
yeah.
again, and like, people who smoke, they understand there's no way a joint would, like,
Yeah,
it
it's
would
not gonna.
break, it would rip in half, or it would have been like, like all
Uh-huh.
crooked and shit. And so it's just the concept, like, where else was I gonna put it? Like, if I put it in my sleeve, it would have been a bit too like bulky in the sleeve,
Mm.
and it actually wasn't even in, like, I had like, because in FCF you got to wear leggings, so I
Yeah.
actually had it between my game pants and my leggings, and it was just cooling right there in the case. I had the lighter there too, and so yeah, it was just like, I just more so, I'm like, damn, if you had just zoomed in on the fact that it was in a case, like, that could have.
Yeah.
But once again, how do you ever know these things? You
Right.
never know. Like, you're just going throughout it, and people are gonna say what they want, but then once again, back to the truth. I know the truth. I know I wouldn't do that to
Right.
Destroying. He knew I wouldn't do that. So outside of me replying to people about that, you just gotta let it be. Like, people can call it what they want. Uh and just the concept, man, like, nobody else in the history has done it. So it's like, to be the first of anything, that feels pretty good. Like,
Now, do you? And again, I mean, I get it, right? You knew there was a possibility that they'd let you go and all that. So I'm gonna give you my opinion, Stu. I really feel it was easy to say, yeah, we'll let him go because you got hurt. Okay.
right.
If you don't get hurt,
There's
I
a
think you
chance.
still, yeah, I think
Right.
you're still there. You're with Kelly. You guys are there celebrating together, winning this championship. All right.
Right. And I
The
mean,
next,
I was gonna say, the cool part about them winning the championship was, like, so Isaiah King, the receiver, he was on his Instagram live, and so, like, there was a point on that live where, like, they're all as a group taking the photo, and like, I'm on there, and we were going back and forth, And like I had basically like said like love y'all boys, like because at the end of the day we still spent 3-4 weeks together. And not
Right,
just
yeah.
that, one of my favorite things about the entire league was the fact that we all practiced together as a league. So it
Right.
wasn't like you just randomly meet these guys during game. Like you would literally like let's say for example I'm playing against the Stars and Slade Jarman is who I'm going against. We could literally be having breakfast together and then go play in the game
Yeah.
and then be
I
eating
mean, you
lunch.
guys are living in the hotel together. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's
So
crazy atmosphere.
that's unlike any other league where your competition or your teammates or are gonna they're gonna constantly be in the same
Mm.
area. So that was pretty cool. Like I was interested to see how that would go, but it's like anything, you have a good game. It's like bragging rights. You're walking around the hotel with your chest out a bit more. And yeah, I mean, like, what are the chances? Like, the reason I'm so happy for the Zappers is because a lot of those guys, I feel like they were the most underrated roster that they just needed a quarterback. And it's like even Kelly, the games that he played before me, he
Hmm.
was doing very well. So it's
Yeah.
like that one game, the first game he lost, they were very, very close to winning. So it was just cool to basically step into that role. And I knew that like I was capable. I was seeing it every week in practice. There was a reason why the coaches put my name in that trade scenario,
Hmm.
because they were seeing it happen every day in practice. So that's what really just let me know. Like that's why I quote unquote talk my shit now is because it's like I'm being evaluated by professional coaches who are they're able to identify like this kid
Right,
is
right.
nice. Like we're watching it, we know this kid
Yeah,
should
I
not.
mean, Leota had you on the top rankings all the time.
Right,
All the time.
exactly. And
So I
even
gotta
that,
ask you, Stu. Sorry, go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say even that I gave him a hard time for like when I saw my name at seventh because it's like I remember the week one, like the very first draft, I see myself as seventh best quarterback, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's just stuff like that just made me scratch my head because I'm going through practice and seeing what everyone else is seeing, and
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
you
bro,
performed well at the preseason game. You played for the
preseason game,
Knights.
yeah, preseason game was for the Knights. I had those two big
Yeah,
runs, no
yeah.
interceptions, and the
Hmm.
game-winning touchdown as time expired. So it's like, even if we want to throw that in there as an MVP, that's just another one. You can add it to
Right.
the Infinity Stones. So
There we go. Put on the glove. Go ahead, do
yes,
it.
sir, yes, sir.
So I won't keep you much longer, man. I appreciate you hanging out this long already. Next morning, I mean, there's articles, there's highlights, there's videos, crazy.
Hmm.
How was that next morning for you, bro? When everything just started hitting after you did that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it was like a delayed impact because it didn't hit until Destroying dropped that reel. And like there were people that were at
Mm,
the game that even got footage of me doing it like
right.
that day. And I even have it. It's just like very zoomed out. It's like from the crowd. So all you just see is this like, hey, you see me in this
Yeah.
haze. And
Smoke just coming up.
yeah, and it's like once again, like I came to realize that this has to be done the right way. If I just posted that video on my own social media, who knows how many reposts or how
Right,
far it
right.
goes. But because it was Destroying who got the best angle with the best cameras that also got to narrate it, that also got to document how I performed the rest of it. It was just like I had to do it. And I'd been following and watching Destroying's videos for a long time before the FCF. So
Mm.
like I said, it's just the stars sometimes align. Before, what's so crazy, man? I I was so like nervous to do it that I probably told close to 100 people before that game, whether it was like a couple days before that game or the day of that game. I told close to 100 people that I was going to do it. Once again, why did I do that? Because faith comes by hearing the word. So I told so many people that I was going to do it that it increased my faith on the fact that I would do it to the point that it wasn't even an option. It's like I just told
Right.
100 people that I was going to.
Everybody's waiting for it.
If I don't do this now, I'm a liar. Then Destroying shows up. Hey, bro, I heard you
Uh,
got a surprise for me. I'm like, bro, just stay ready. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's almost like if people would pin themselves in positions of success or pin themselves in between their goals, then it's like, you go from being afraid to do it to like, now I have to do it or I'm a liar. And that's the last thing I want to be. So, yeah, I got everything out of the FCF that I had hoped to. Like, obviously, dream case scenario, I wouldn't have had to get kicked out. Dream case scenario, You know, they could have said, well, maybe it was CBD. Like, we don't even know what it was. Cause
Right,
like,
right.
that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of routes they could have gone to defend me, even with the 420 post and
Hmm.
everything else. The fact that it was 3 days later, it's just like, but I understand, you know, at the end of the day, their hands were tied. You know, there's no,
Yeah, but you brought a conversation to the table that people want to have, right? So some say it was a controversial moment, some were saying it was an epic moment.
yeah, yeah,
My thing was it's a little bit of all of it, and
yeah,
you brought a conversation that needed to be had, and
yeah,
you said it best.
yeah.
We're all good with opening up a can of beer on the field. You know, you got
Mhm.
owners on the field drinking all this. What's the difference,
Sure.
right? So, what's next, bro?
Yeah,
What's
I
on
mean,
the lineup for
a
you?
lot of exciting things. Even to touch on what you just said too, it's like I remember Beast versus Zappers, the game after I left, and it's like Marshawn Lynch is out there, and I love Marshawn. I'm a big fan, but he's out there with a Henny bottle that's only has this much left, and it didn't get empty on its own. So it's like,
Uh huh.
you know, I see those type of things, and I'm just like, and I see my boy Stiggers out there like getting into it with him, and I'm like,
Yeah, that was
you got a
crazy.
team owner ready to fight players because he's probably a little bit too soft. And it's like, I hit the gas, third play of the game, proceeded to win MVP, and then still had like on all my whereabouts. I didn't lose any studious nature.
Hmm.
I didn't lose any dialed in nature. If anything, it just helped me relax a bit more and forget a little bit more about what people are saying about me and just let me go be me. So yeah, I'm excited about a lot of things I have going on. You know, the biggest thing is like I said, I am God's steward artist. You know, it's like if there's anything that I genuinely feel like I can put on my tombstone or be my quote for life is that. And so when people ask me what's next, it's all an umbrella under that. Like I know I feel in my heart of hearts that I'm here to just acquire more, just in order to do more of His work, and that's why continue to post. I'm to the point where I don't have to post. I don't have to post videos. I don't have to go do speaking
Right.
engagements. I don't have to be doing that, but I do it because that's my currency. Nipsey Hussle said inspiration is the greatest form of currency. So
Nailed it.
that's where I get paid, is off inspiring people.
Man, I gotta tell you, Stu, this is exactly why I wanted to have this interview with you, man. Because I mean, it's just like the first time I hung out with you at the stadium. I could sit here and you and I could chop it up for another 2 hours if we wanted to.
All
But
right.
I wanted people, especially our Knights of Degen community and everybody that tunes in on all the different social platforms,
Hmm.
that haven't had a chance to see what you're doing, what you were doing before the FCF, and realize, all right, he isn't just that dude that lit a J. There's a
Right.
purpose, there's a meaning, there's a faith. And
Right.
bro, I appreciate you literally making all this time to hang out with me. I'm excited to see what's coming up next. I know there's rumors about the you and destroying stuff. I'm excited to see what happens with the shirts too. I mean,
Definitely.
listen, I think it looks good on Larry Fitzgerald, but I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. I think one would look great on me, way better than him. I'm sorry, Larry. All right, I just with this bald head, I beat you all day long, bro. So
I
you know we
like
got
it.
we got
Let's
to
get
work on it.
let's get you a shirt,
And
bro. Yeah, let's get you a shirt.
but I also want to make sure we draw some attention to the purpose of why you're doing those shirts. And I'd love to find a way to get with you so we can talk about light water, how we can generate some stuff with you there as well. Um, man, dude, so excited that you made time, bro. I really
I
do
appreciate
appreciate
that.
you. You can go ahead and let everybody know that where they can follow you. It's
Yeah,
pretty
most
simple.
definitely. Yeah, you guys can follow me at qbstew. We've mentioned it a couple times on the show, but whether it's Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram, those are the three platforms that I'm on the most right now. And outside of even doing the shirts with Destroying, he also he invited me to come on tour with him.
There it
And
is.
yeah, so we're gonna be hitting some NFL training camps, and I'll be throwing the one-on-one. So once again,
I told my son about that, and he said, "Man, that's good because some of the ones that the Destroyers brought with him on the other tours, them quarterbacks can't throw for nothing."
and
So
even outside of the throne, like I'm gonna be out there. He told me, be me. He's like your
yeah,
personality, bro. So like, talk your shit and tap your head and everything else. And even that, like, people were calling me, head tap, or whatever. Captain Zap Sparrow. I got a lot of nicknames in this league. So it was a blessing,
that's
man.
awesome.
Thank you for having me on and
No, of
keep
course,
shining a
bro.
light. Your energy is infectious. It's a
Appreciate
universal
you, bro.
language. So doesn't matter who you interact with, man. People are gonna pick up on that.
I appreciate that, homie. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys hanging out. Let's take a quick commercial break while we let Stu get out of here. And we'll be back here in about 30 seconds with a little bit more for you guys. Later, Stu. Yeah. All right, guys. So before we end the show, want to touch on a couple of things. Like, for starters, I know NFT NYC was last week and Knights of Degen tore it up. Did you guys happen to see the video? I got to play it. So good. Yes, still a little jealous that I wasn't there, but I had a great week too. But guys, it looks like they killed it out there. Did you guys see that we even got the new big Degen Energy merch? Look, I never wear hats, so I wanted to try it. Even in a picture wearing the hat, my peanut head should not be rocking that. But yes, I am getting my hat. I'm getting that hoodie. Come on, you know I gotta have a Degen hoodie. Oh, so excited. Guys, appreciate everybody hanging out. And you know, I like to always give a quick little run through. We got some sales going on. How you doing? But it wouldn't be fair if I didn't let the steeds get some love too. Yeah. Guys, right now, as soon as I end this show, I know the Fight Night crew, Proto, Kev Dog, they're holding down the Twitter spaces for you UFC Fight Night crazy guys. Go listen to them. Check it out. They're giving you all that alpha. Tune in Friday. We have Fight Night we'll go live. And right after fight night at 8 p.m., we then have Tonight We Ride into the Metaverse. We'll be covering everything from our Footium, TRV, our Zed horses. Oh, by the way, give you guys a little Kingdom recap. We went ahead and jumped into photo finish, and we just added 4 horses to our Knights of Degen stable. We're officially in there. We'll be running those Friday nights, hanging out with everybody. Appreciate QB Stew coming through. Thank you, man. Such a great conversation. Great time with you. Appreciate everybody in the chat for hanging out. On that note, guys, I hope everybody has a great night. I'm out.